Good morning, friends, and welcome back to Seshcast. My name is GLDLX. This is Seshcast, a cannabis podcast for cannabis sessions, and today it is even earlier than last week when I complained for a whole episode that it was way too early to be this high. So here we go, doing it again. I'm going to tilt my mic back. I'm sorry if that makes some extra noise, but I needed it to point a little closer towards my face. Good morning. My name is GLDLX, and this is this podcast I do where I get high and I talk about stuff. And if this is your first morning's episode, every 10 episodes, I step back and I just chill out and wake and bake, do an episode about nothing, and give you updates on what's going on in Showland, in Seshcast world. So that's what today is, because this is episode 55. So let's see, what am I smoking on today? What did I grind? Earth OG? Yes. So this is Earth OG. Just picked this up this weekend. Yeah, so this is fresh and new. It is pretty, it smells like weed. It's not super pungent in smell. I've noticed a lot more in the taste. I just smoked a bowl of this right before I turned the mic on. But I've enjoyed it so far. It's a pretty heavy indica. It's setting me down. It's true to its name, very earthy, and very like dirt tones. So it is not by any means the tastiest weed in the world, but I'm digging the effects. I'm very mellow, like very relaxed. Very much looking forward to going back to bed after I record this. Because I'm moving pretty fast today. I'm doing all right. I'm kind of proud of myself. So, yeah, that's what we're smoking on today. Using my Willstar pipe that I posted a couple episodes ago, for a couple of reasons. Mostly because I wanted to roll a joint this morning, but it is way too early for me to do that much work. I literally rolled out of bed and turned the microphone on, so sorry. I should have rolled one last night if I was that committed. And then I leave town here in 3 days. Something like that, to go to Seattle, and I did not want to dirty up another pipe, because I always like to clean all my glass before I leave town. I don't know, it's nice to come home to clean glass, I guess, but when you turn into a clean glass snob, which, like, it's one of the few snobby activities that I'll really advocate for. I don't think I'm a snob about much, but I'm a snob about clean glass, and once you hop on the clean glass train, it's really nice, man. It kind of changes your life. I'm not gonna lie. I feel a lot better after I'm done smoking. I don't cough as much. My throat doesn't feel as gross, and I smoke less weed. Because when you are not losing weed to resin grab constantly, you don't have to smoke as much, and you get a better effect from what you do smoke. So anyway, I didn't want to dirty up another piece before I leave town. And this piece has just been my daily driver since like Christmas. So I figured I would just go another sesh with this and probably take a pretty snow picture of it at some point, or try to at least. We finally got snow. Holy smokes, I'm so happy. The like Midwest and over region finally got ours. I feel like winter has kind of skipped this whole area, this whole like quadrant of the U.S. So snow is finally heading our way, which is, great. Everybody else hates it. Sorry. I'm a big snow winter guy, so I'm excited to have the snow back. But, here we are, and some people hate it, and some people love it. But I'm in the love it category, and I'm pretty into it. So it's nice to finally have a couple inches of snow on the ground. But I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna go ahead and take a hit. I hope that your day is going great, whether you're listening to this in the morning or the night or whatever. If you're listening to this at night, I'm sorry that I keep saying good morning. I hope you're having a great day, and that 2019 is off to a good start for you. This is, the third episode of the year now? Yeah, because this comes out on, what day is today? I don't even know the date. So today's the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. So this comes out on the 17th. So yeah, third episode of January, third episode of 2019. Hope the year is going well for you. Almost a month in, and that you're getting your new paths set up. I know I talked about resolutions a couple a couple weeks ago, but I feel like everybody always feels like if they're not knocking their resolution out of the park in the first 4 months of the year, or the first 4 weeks of the year, then they fail and they give up. But like January is all about getting a new life path set up to like cut the wheels and go down. Like you gotta get yourself on track, gotta build up your infrastructure, gotta make a plan, and then by February you can be in the groove. So I hope you're nearing launch and getting ready to take off with whatever's new in your life, and I hope things are great. And I'm gonna hit this again because that's usually my editing cue to start the music. And I said that way too long ago to let the music be going for that long. So, but now I'm going to hit this, and I hope that you can hit something too. Cheers, friends. Alrighty, so here we are, episode 55, morning's episode. Let me get you updated on what's going on. So, first big thing is when you are hearing this episode, if you listen to it on the day it comes out, which will be Thursday, I will be in Seattle, Washington. I will be on the way to Seattle because I'll post this bright and early in the morning. But I'll be headed out to Seattle for PodCon, which I'm very excited about. That is this upcoming weekend of January, the 19th and 20th, in Seattle. And I am heading out to experience and learn and meet and have a good time. And I'm really looking forward to it. So if you're going to be in Seattle for PodCon, or if you're just a Seattle base, please hit me up. Let me know. Love to hook up with you and smoke a quick one and say hello, and that'd be great. So if you're going to be at PodCon, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram. I would love to see you. I am actually going out with another show that I work on. I'm going out as an editor this time. So HempFest for me was my big networking experience for Seshcast, but I work with some other podcasts, and one of the ones I'm working with right now, the main one I'm working with right now actually, we are headed out as a team to experience and just see what there is to see out there. So I'm going out as an editor as opposed to a kid who smokes weed on the internet, which should be exciting. But of course, I'm still gonna have my Seshcast cards with me and saying hey to people and seeing who I can meet and maybe get somebody on the show at some point. So that's all cool, and hopefully I'll have some sort of episode from or around Seattle when I get back this next time. But anyway, that's coming up here, and like I said, next week will be something from that, but I'm not 100% sure what. But I will be out in Seattle, which should be exciting to try some new weed and just get some new food under my belt and experience some places and just have a good time. And that was sort of my thing. The last time I went out to Seattle, it turned into very much just like a let me hit HempFest, let me only be at HempFest. It was really kind of a business trip for me. And it was a vacation, but I spent basically 3 straight days, not only in one very specific location of Seattle, but high as balls for 3 straight days. And just I could have experienced the city more. And so I'm very much looking forward to going out for PodCon as a business trip, but I will be out there for about the same amount of time as I was in August. But I will only be at the convention for about half the time. It's a little bit shorter each day, and it's only a 2-day convention as opposed to 3. So, very much looking forward to PodCon. Think it's going to be a blast, and we'll come back with something from that for sure. So that's big. I'm working on getting back into the Instagrams thing. I'm picking up a little bit. I'm doing better, which I'm pretty jazzed about. I've really, really missed interacting on Instagram and having that Instagram footprint, but like the live streams that I used to do and DMing with folks, and I've slacked so hard, and I'm sorry. So I'm working on catching up on that, and I'm doing pretty well. Um, so hopefully we'll be picking up here, um, and continue on. I hope to bring the live streams back sooner rather than later. Hopefully in the next 10 episodes, like by the next morning session, we'll be able to look back at what we've picked back up in 2019, and I'll be really excited about that. So give me the next couple months here to sort of ramp back up and slowly build into the grind and build a bit of a routine for myself, and I'll be back with something for you. So that's coming, and I'm looking forward to that. I have been slacking on my emails too. Like, good. I took basically December, and December was sort of my breaking point of like, I'm so busy with the holidays at work. I'm with life in general, and I just need a minute to not look at my computer. So Seshcast was basically sit down, record, edit, upload, and that was all the work I was doing with the show from week to week. I wasn't looking at my email or anything. So I do have a lot of outstanding communication I need to get back with you. So if you've shot me an email and I have straight been ignoring you, I am sorry. I just literally logged onto my email for the first time in 6 weeks. Last weekend, I think, and realized that I had a bunch of emails I needed to reply to, and was a little like shocked and taken aback because that account just hadn't heard much for a while, and then all of a sudden I picked the wrong time to not check it. So my bad. I'll be back with you very, very soon, I promise. Yeah, so that's coming. Hopefully I will be getting some new glass on the show. My girlfriend got some new stuff that I have not used yet, and I just love showcasing glass, even if it's not glass that I particularly own. I'm all about trying out different things on the show, and I really was doing great doing a different piece every episode there for a while, but I have, like, I counted the other day, and I think 25 was the number I landed on. I think I have 25 pieces. And they're not all of them have been on the show, but most of them have been on the show, and when you're 55 episodes deep, it's hard to only have 25 pieces and do a new episode or a new piece of glass on every episode. So hopefully I'll be getting some new stuff on that Instagram as well. And all that is at Seshcast. If you want to follow me there, feel free to send some stuff my way. But hoping to do that. The other big thing that I'm really excited for is in the next, hopefully 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to be putting together a whole bunch of new music, and I'm going to be putting all that up on my SoundCloud, and I'm going to just sort of redo my SoundCloud for the, beats that I use in all of my episodes. I've been itching for new music for a minute. I've wanted to do new music for the show for quite a while, and I just have not gotten around to it. I haven't had a lot of time, and I haven't bought any new beats packs for this chintzy little phone app that I use to make all those beats. But I love making them. It's one of my favorite things to do. Is just to kick it and do those little chill hop beats for a little while. But I do just use a lame little chintzy phone app. I think it's called Live Remix or something, and I haven't put it on this new phone that I have and played with it and all that, so I got to do all those things, and I will here soon. I will have a chance to sit down and knock some of that out, so I'll have all those beats up on SoundCloud, so if anybody wants them or if anybody wants to use them, feel free. They'll be up there as pod-friendly stuff, so looking forward to that. And I look forward to sharing that with you, because then I'll also have some new music for the show to cut in when I smoke, which is really exciting. And I'm going to take a bunch of the old ones I have and find the ones that are good. And so I'm not going to lose any beats. All the ones I have will go up, but there will be some new stuff too that'll hopefully be a little bit longer. And again, just, free access for other podcasters, other people looking for some chill hop or some beats to put behind them. All that'll be coming. So, I'm going to hit this again, and then I think, am I safe to hop into album stuff? I think so. I don't know if I have anything else. I'm going to hit this again and get a drink, because I'm super cotton-mouthed, and we'll figure out what we're doing next. So, cheers. Oh gosh, excuse me. Um, I'm part of I'm part of the like Nalgene user cult, um, which I don't think I've done an episode about, but I should do an episode about it at some point. I'll do a Nalgene's episode at some point. Um, but I'm part of the Nalgene crew, and I left my main Nalgene at work, and I haven't had it for a couple of days. So I've been using a spare Nalgene, and the lid is broken, and it's just much harder to like hold a piece and a lighter and completely unscrew the lid from my Nalgene and hold that lid and drink from the Nalgene, and a lot of work. Um, and it's just way harder. I want my main Nalgene back that has an attached lid. Gosh. Whew. Wow, I'm so high. Holy smokes, this is great weed. I guess I never talked about the taste, and I was totally going to. I talked about it a little bit. Um, I so one of the ways that I like try to describe what it's like to be high to people who have never been high before, um, is think about like if you've got water in a bucket and like one of those blue plastic 1990s um, garden buckets that we all had with the wire handles and the like white handle cap. I hope you know what I'm talking about. I feel like this was a widespread 90s thing. I know my family had two of them. One was round and one was a square. Anyway, you have water in one of those buckets, bucket with a handle, and you hold it down to your side and you twist your wrist. And the bucket spins, and it's like the water spins after the bucket. Like the the bucket spins first, then the water spins in the bucket. And when you flip the bucket back the other way, the water follows suit, but later. So it's kind of like this intersecting spinning. I don't know what that's called, but it almost spins in opposite directions, um, depending on how fast you're spinning your wrist. Anyway, what it's like to be high on this particular weed, and often I think when people who've never been high before get high for the first time, it trips them out. You turn your head and your eyes move like that. It's like you turn and your vision turns a split second later, or vice versa. Like you'll look a different direction and then your head will sort of move after it. But I think mostly the first one. Like if I look to my right, my vision will follow to my right, but it feels almost delayed, and it's a little like makes you lightheaded, makes your head feel sloshy. And this particular weed it's a body high for sure. I mean, it's a pretty heavy indica, but a lot of like it's a heady indica for sure. I mean, it is a full body mental everything relaxation because it's a physical head high. It's not a mental head high. Like it's not super cerebral. I'm not super racy by any means. I'm very just like mellowed out, and I'm sort of struggling to keep my train of thought just because anytime I stop talking, my brain just wants to like lull down to zero. So I'm very excited to get back into bed with this. Super jazzed. But I think I'm safe to go into album stuff. I don't know that I have any other like major show updates right now. Um, but I do have a lot of albums to talk about. So I think I'm going to go ahead and hop into that. I am still working on figuring out a better way to post this albums list. Honestly, I think I need to just do the website thing more than just the free website that I have. I mean, I'm sure I could do like a free uh, WordPress or something, but it's down the road. I'll get there. Um, anyway, I'm on ever my ever long mission, my quest to listen to every album of all time. I keep all of the albums that I've listened to on a list in the show notes for episode 6 of this podcast. So if you want to go and look at all the albums that I've listened to, you can go to the show notes for that episode on my website, which is seshcast.libsyn.com. That's where I was trying to get with that sentence. Holy smokes, I'm high. So, albums that I have listened to since the last podcast that I did. I have a couple of I have a bunch of different things on here, And to be honest, I might have already talked about some of these. I've not had a chance to cross reference this list yet. Um, but like, I've been trying to be good about writing down everything that I've listened to, and often I'll listen to things and I think, or I know that I've listened through that album before, but I don't think I've talked about it on the show. Um, or I've talked about it, but I said something incorrect about it, which is one of the albums on here. Um, so yeah, let's just kick it off. The first album was, or that I've listened to since the last episode, Rush, Fly By Night. If you don't know Rush, they are one of the best, maybe the best prog rock bands of all time. Um, I mean, that's a super lofty thing to say. Also, sorry, my computer has been having some issues. So if you hear any weird cuts or drops in my audio, I apologize. It's my laptop. I need to clean it out and do some rehab on the bad boy. But um, anyway, Rush, I think argument could definitely be made that they're the best prog rock band of all time. Um, so that would be a really hard argument to make because I think that you could say any prog rock band is the best prog rock band of all time if you tried hard enough. But Rush is amazing, and one of the greatest rock bands of all time, hands down. And Fly By Night is their second album. Um, Gosh, I feel like I need to check that. Hold on, because my phone is on airplane mode, so it doesn't mess with my mic. Oh, and I need to plug my laptop in. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's a good thing I looked down at my computer. That would have been very sad if my computer died mid-recording. Rush discography. Go. Let's see here. Fly By Night was 75 and self-titled was 74. Yeah, it was their second album. It was the first album with Neil Peart, so the first album with the quote-unquote modern day Rush lineup, even though in a sense Rush is retired. Um, it is significantly proggier, and uh, much much more experimental than their first album, which their first album was kind of a straight set of bangers. Um, yeah, very good. Love that album. It is when Rush really found who Rush was, and this was and the mid to late '70s was the weird time for Rush, um, when they were really throwing some strange stuff out there. Hemispheres, and I think Farewell to Kings came out in the '70s too. 2112 was '76. Like there is just some really cool and crazy stuff coming from the Rush camp from '75 to '80. Um, so yeah, Rush, Fly By Night, Anti Flag. I talked about this album actually last week, but I called it the wrong title, I think, or I talked about the right album, but I talked about the one I'd already listened to, and I was supposed to talk about the one I hadn't listened to. So I'm gonna pull this one up too and make sure that I am talking about the right one, even though I'm like so sure that I am. American Spring, an album by a band called Anti Flag. Anti Flag is one of my favorite bands. Sorry, I'm looking away from my microphone, and my voice probably sounds muffled. Give me a track listing, please. Let's see. This button. Anti Flag is one of my favorite bands. They are a punk band from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Um, Making them. Oh gosh. Making them from the same town that I grew up in, or like around the same time that around the same town that I grew up in. American Spring was a couple albums ago, so they did American Reckoning was their most recent. American Fall was the one before that, and American Spring was I think 2015, maybe yes 2015. This album had Brandenburg Gate on it, which was I think their first like mainstream radio hit for a while. One of the first ones that I can think of since I have been listening to rock radio like religiously. I would have to look and see which of their other songs went to radio, but Brandenburg Gate was I think their probably most successful radio hit in at least the last 10 years. and sort of brought Anti-Flag up a level. Um, and it was one of the things that turned me on to them. I had known about Anti-Flag, I'd heard of Anti-Flag, I'd listened to Anti-Flag, I'd liked Anti-Flag, but I had kind of forgotten about Anti-Flag, if we're being honest, because I wasn't listening to a lot of punk there for a little while. And then I found out that one of my all-time, or actually my all-time favorite punk band had some very unpunk beliefs, and I sort of cut them out of my life and quit listening to their music, and I needed a new punk band, and Anti-Flag was there to pick me back up and put spikes back in my hair. So American Spring had Brendan Brigade on it, which was a huge radio hit, and it is super radio friendly. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's definitely a radio jam compared to some of Anti-Flag's punkier stuff. Again, not bad, just a little bit different. The rest of the album, though, has some great punk on it. Fabled World, which is the first track, is awesome. Set Yourself on Fire is an amazing song, and they also did it acoustic for American Reckoning. This is one of the two albums that the American Reckoning covers are made up from, which I've talked about before. So, great album if you're into punk. Definitely recommend. Then I listened to a bunch of Ghost this month. So I listened to Prequel, which is their newest album, and Opus Eponymous, which was their album before Prequel. And I thought I'd listened to one more, but maybe it's already on the list or something. I don't know. Anyway, Opus Eponymous and Prequel. Uh, Ghost does not look the way that they sound, and that confuses me. I didn't like listen to them much until I started working for the radio station that I'm working at, because they just weren't super on my radar. Like, they were a band that I knew about, but not a band that I was interested in pursuing until I started working at the radio station I worked at, heard a couple of their songs, and was like, man, these guys are heavy, they're really ripped, I'm super into it. And then I listened to more of their music, and I was surprised at how, dare I say, disco they sound. And I don't want to say that in a bad way. I like the way that Ghost sounds, but they are much, and I guess this is not super surprising when you look at them, but they are a little more gothic than I expected them to be in their sound. I was expecting a more straightforward, like, heavy metal, and I got sort of a, like, gothic metal, gothic rock vibe, and I was just surprised, but not disappointed. I like Ghost. I think they're cool. Um, I think Tobias Forge, who is their lead singer, is kind of a jerk, but not a jerk enough that I like totally hate his music. So Prequel has their big radio hits right now, which is uh, Rats and Dance Macabre. Good songs. Check them out if you want. Good album. Check them out if you want. Like those. The Dirty Nil Master Volumes. The next one's another punk album. And I really dig this album. I really dig this band. What am I doing on time? Oh, I'm good. I wait a little while before I smoke more. Dirty Nil is great. They actually played a concert for my radio station here a couple months ago. They are a punk band out of Canada. Never heard of them before. Really like them. And I know for a fact that I listened to one of their other albums this month too. Maybe I forgot to write it down. Oh, snap. What's that album called? Now I gotta look this up too. I'm sorry. I was not prepared for this episode. But this is what happens with what is effectively a live stoner radio show. The Dirty Nil discography. I spelled that wrong, but Google will fix it. So, uh, yeah, I listened to all of these albums. Why didn't I write these down? I'm bad at this. Um, so I listened to Dirty Nil, the Master Volume, which is their most recent album. Minimum R&B, which is the album before that, and I'm trying to write all this down as I talk about it. And then Higher Power, which is their first album. All very good. Um, Master Volume has their hit that went to American radio, which is That's What Heaven Feels Like. Good album. There's good songs on all three of these albums. It's sort of a like lo-fi, low maintenance punk, um, garage punk, but I'm into it. I dig it, man. I dig the sound. I dig the lyrics. They're good writers. And it's just kind of wholesome, fast moving rock and roll. So I would check those guys out if you are into that minimum punk sound, but they are by no means like a super refined, super tight band. But they sound good. They're good at what they're doing, and they were fun to watch live. They're a little young. They need to grow a little bit, but they were great openers. Opened a hell of a show, and I enjoyed watching them. So that's the Dirty Nil. All three of those albums. I really feel like I've listened to another Ghost album, but I tell you what, I'm gonna take a hit of this. I'm gonna look up Ghost discography real quick. I don't want to do another one while I'm talking, which I say that now, and I will inevitably do another one here in like 10 minutes or something. But I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna look up that, and I'll be right back. So, yeah, cheers, friends. Yeah, so like, I feel like I listened to at least Meliora too when it comes to Ghost. But maybe I didn't. I don't know. I'll listen to it this month, or I'll get back to you on that. But I feel like I listened to that too. Anyway, moving forward, an album that I've been promising to listen to somebody on Instagram for like, God, 6 months, and I have just not. And I apologize, but I finally did, man. So if you still hang out, if you're still listening, finally listened to 21 Pilots Trench. It's the newest album from 21 Pilots, and I know those guys. I worked with them a little bit in college. Great people. Really, really liked their first album. Have not super loved the last couple of albums they've put out. Honestly, it's just not super my style of music. I try to find something in every style of music that I can enjoy, and I do. And there are plenty of 21 Pilot songs that I do really like. But in general, their sound is not super what I'm into. I'm not saying it's bad. I know there are plenty of people out there who super love 21 Pilots. I'm just not one of them. I was really into them for a hot minute, and then just kind of went the opposite way. So, by no means do I think they're bad or a trash band or anything like that, or will I ever judge you for listening to 21 Pilots? Just not my bag. But Trench came out. That's their newest album. I gave it a spin. Didn't super dig it. Liked a couple of songs. Thought Nico and the Niners was catchy and bopped a little bit. Jumpsuit spent a little bit of time on the radio. Did not particularly care for that one. But it wasn't bad. It was all right. So did that. That's my opinion on it, and I guess that's kind of where I'll leave it. Just overall, I was a little bit underwhelmed, and I really sort of feel like it was not a super well composed album. I don't think it really had like a good composition to it. It didn't flow well as an album. I thought it was just kind of a bunch of singles stitched together. Not my favorite style of album. So, yeah, that was my thoughts on that. Trevor Hall, The Fruitful Darkness. I've been meaning to listen to this for a minute, and this is one of the ones that I think I might have already talked about. And if I have, I apologize. If I haven't, here it is. Trevor Hall's a singer songwriter that I really really like. He's sort of like little roots influenced, very beachy. He's from like Hilton Head or something like that, South Carolina. So he's definitely beach vibes music, which honestly I love listening to in the winter in the snow. Like I love summer vibes like Soja and Trevor Hall and like Nako and Medicine for the People and um, even like Rusted Root. But a lot of like what I think people would consider summer bands and hot weather music. I love listening to that in the cold weather. Again, I love the cold. I love the snow. Um, but yeah, so that's what Trevor Hall is. He's just very very beachy and a little world music sounding. And The Fruitful Darkness is his most recent album. I really really like this album. It was very cool, very like mellow singer songwriter, but at the same time sort of like almost a little like psychedelic as far as folk goes. Um, it's cool. It's worth checking out, I think. And it's very spiritual music, but it's not necessarily tied to a like particular religion or anything. It's very cool. Check it out. Would definitely recommend that album if you're into singer songwriter like more mellow music. Um, so it's cool. Karma, I would say, is or Arrows. Is it Arrows on that album? I think Arrows is on that album. Um, if you're looking for singles to check out, Karma is cool. Arrows very good. I would say Arrows is like the single if that is on the Fruitful Darkness, which I think that it is. Moving on. Finally got Pink Floyd's Metal on that list. I think I looked at my Pink Floyd list and was like, are there albums that are missing? And there are definitely some. And it's not because I haven't listened to them, it's because I haven't listened to them and talked about them on the show. So I'm trying to go through, re listen to all the Pink Floyd that I've already listened to, but haven't talked about, and keep you up to date with that. So Metal is back on the list. Metal's a great album. It is a little bit earlier than some of their super like uh, radio stuff, Dark Side and the Wall, pre-break, but it's cool. Dig it. Good Pink Floyd. I think I need to do a little bit of a better job of reminding myself of all of these albums before I hop back in and record these mornings episodes, because it's like 10 weeks, man. Listen to a lot of music in 10 weeks. Let's see. Anti-Flag, Terror State, another Anti-Flag album on here. Oh gosh. Oh, I didn't even realize. Holy smokes, I thought my timer was running in the background and it isn't. And I just looked at what time I'm actually at the episode, and I have goofed. I apologize. I'm gonna panic hit this again and I'll hop back in and keep up a little bit. Oh boy. Cheers. Okay, so hopping back in, Anti-Flag, the Terror State early album. I think it's their second or third, third. Let's call it the third album. Around that area, great, love it. Early punk, anti-establishment. I dig it. It's Anti-Flag. Um, Beartooth, Sick and Disgusting. I think might already be on the list. Pretty sure it's already on the list. Definitely my favorite Beartooth album. It has In the Between on it. In Between? In the Between. I think it's just In Between. Great song. Love Beartooth. If you're into metalcore, Beartooth is a band that you should be listening to. They're great. Love them a lot. Going a completely opposite direction, Groove Crusader. Now, this album, the branding on this is phenomenal. So I've talked about Twerp a lot, Tupperware Remix Party, electro funk band that I really love. They have 4 members. Their lead singer, who also is their like synth player, keyboard player, guitar player, frontman. His stage name is Dr. Sung. Now, Dr. Sung released a solo album under the moniker Groove Crusader, and the album is Justice Wears High Tops, which is just great branding. So good. So Justice Wears High Tops by Groove Crusader. I think I would call it house. I'm not great with like electronic genres. I mess that up a lot, but I think it's house. It's cool. I had slight feels of Swedish House Mafia, but like not as heavy. Maybe deep house. I don't know. I don't really understand electronic genres. I need to be better about that. But yeah, good album if you're into electronic music. Quinn, XCII, I think I've talked about before. I always say Quinn XCII, but I know for a fact that it's Quinn 92. It's Roman numeral. But The Story of Us, great album from a couple of years ago. Um, I would almost venture to call it a concept album, but it's a little R&B, a little hip hop. It's good. Check it out. I think I've talked about that one before, but I'm not sure. But keeping in sort of that same vein, I finally got to listen to Mac Miller's Swimming, and man, like that that was a bummer. That hurt, man. I talked about it with Anti Flag, but I'm from Pittsburgh, and I grew up around the same time as Mac Miller. I mean, he and I were almost the exact same age, and uh, he went to school a couple districts away. But like, I remember hearing about Mac Miller and Wiz Khalifa, like as they were coming up, and I really, really liked Mac's music. I'd been a pretty big fan of Mac since Blue Slide Park. Um, but just didn't listen to him all the time because it wasn't music that I listened to that often. But anytime I was listening to rap, it was typically Mac Miller. And so to hear that he died last year was hard. And I had been meaning to listen to this album, and I just hadn't had time to sit down and give it the attention it deserved. And I finally did. And that is just, man, that's a phenomenal album. And I guess in the sense of music, it goes like it's a great way to end. You know, it was a great. It's a crime that it's his last album, but it's a good album to be the last one, man. Um, Damn, that kid was good, and like we lost him too early, 100%. So there's a little mental health shout out. That's all super real. Um, Still bumming on Mac Miller dying for sure, but do him a favor and check out his music because that album is so good, so flippin' good. Oh my gosh. So check out Swimming. It's rap, hip hop. But Mac Miller has a very a very deep and emotional style. And his flow is great. So if you are into sort of the old school Slipknot and like I don't know, the like Stan era Eminem, Mac Miller is worth checking out. But uh and the last album I have on here is MCR Welcome to the Black Parade. I've listened to that album 1,000 times in my life. I don't know that I've ever talked about it on the show, or added it to the list. So the last time I listened to it, I was like, oh, throw it on there. And if it's not on my list, I'll add it to the list. So there it is. My Chemical Romance, Welcome to the Black Parade. I hope you've heard that album. If you haven't, that's quintessential album of the 2000s. Listen to it. You'll thank me later. So that is the album update. That is a morning's episode. And I am like right on time. I still have a little bit of weed to smoke, but that's okay. I got caught up talking because my timer apparently doesn't work when I'm not on that screen, which is dumb. Whew. Wow. I talked a lot. I'm going to take a hit, do an outro, take a hit, leave. That's the game plan. I'll be right back. Cheers. Okay, so outro time. There it is. There's the morning's episode. Excuse me. just a little update session for you. Little mind free, let it roll session. Um, and a big update on the album list. All that'll be posted in the show notes of episode 6 on the website, which is strange and obscure, but if you want to look for it, I guess you got to go on that journey with me. Yeah, I'll be back next week. More content, probably something from PodCon, hopefully something from PodCon. I'm kind of enjoying this. I tell you what the episode next week is going to be about at the end of the first episode, because it like keeps me on track, keeps me going. So something from PodCon next week. Maybe it'll be a short episode from PodCon. Perhaps. I am not bringing my whole microphone recording setup because that was a lot, and I don't want to do it. I don't. It's just too much work to lug all of that in a plane across the country when I am not going out specifically to sit in the studio and record podcasts. So yeah, I'll be back with more from PodCon next week. And I hope you have an awesome week. And if you're in Seattle, hit me up. My Instagram is at Seshcast. Check that out if you like. I post the pictures of the glass that I use. Like, comment, subscribe. I guess. I don't know. That's what I feel like should go here, but I don't like saying that, so let me just say that. That was dumb. I should cut that out. I'm not going to, but I should. Sorry. Brain went in 2 different directions. Very high. I need to go to bed. That's what I'm going to do. Good morning, friends. Happy wake and bake. And I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna hit this and go now. So have a great day. Thanks for hanging out. Cheers. My name is GLDLX. This has been Seshcast. Thank you so much for listening.